Good evening and welcome to Separated by Water, the podcast for fans of teams over there and the fans being over here, either side of the Irish Sea. My name's Colin Campbell. I'm a Spurs season ticket holder for my sins. And my co-host, Paul, you probably see. Paul, how are you?
Hi, folks. Hi, folks. I'm coming to you tonight from Clonus, Barry McGuigan land. I'm away in business, so I can't vouch for the reliability of my Wi-Fi. But all being well, it'll be fine, and we'll get through it all right.
Okay, let's do that. In any event, there's really only one topic for us tonight, as it affects both our clubs, perhaps profoundly. What's happening to Morgan Gibbs White? Okay, Paul, look, from Spurs' point of view, he had a buyout clause. We made it. We tried to finalise the deal by organising a medical in London, and then it all went wrong. So from Forest's view, from Forest's position, what went wrong? What happened?
Well, my understanding is that he did meet the buyout clause, but it wasn't a case of just being 60 million. It was a case of it was 60 million, and I'm just messing with numbers here. 60 million, 1,250 quid, and you come in with the exact amount. So there's been a breach of confidentiality. We've said it before. I don't know in this world of agents and football managers and football clubs and teams and recruitment teams, is there any such thing as confidentiality? Does he want to move? I understand that he has expressed an interest that he will move, or he will stay.
Okay.
He did, yeah, but that's the long and short of it. I don't think he's pushing to leave. Is he using this as a broker to get a better deal, a better contract, or is Forrest doing this to try and get him tied into a better contract to get him into it? You have to look at it from all points of view. But one thing occurred to me today, Colin, and I would like your view on it. Really appreciate where you come from on Daniel Levy. I think we've got two very stubborn owners. I think we've got two owners who are very much. They will dig their heels in to get what they want, and they'll do it their own way. Marinakis, we know what he's like. He's very fiery. But do you think there's any negotiation in Levy? Do you think he'll offer more money to get him?
I think it depends, but the thing about the clause is surprising me. I suppose if it wasn't 60 million, teams tend to, I think, deal in round numbers. So 1,300. I know you were, but it's, I guess, the number of sweets in the jar kind of thing, However, Spurs were able to come up with the exact number, if it were not around 60 million, is of course a remarkable coincidence. I would like to be saying, to answer your question, I would like to be saying that Daniel Levy is the kind of guy who will go to get the player they want, for the manager he wants, that they will go the extra few million. If that's what this is about, principle about breaches of confidentiality. And to be honest, Paul, how a buyout clause can actually be confidential is a bit of a mystery to me. Do you remember the Luis Suarez? There was a buyout clause there, and Arsenal met the clause plus £1 or something like that. So I don't see how a clause can be confidential. But that notwithstanding, if this is not a high-principled action on the part of either Forest or Spurs about what was breached or who said what, if it becomes haggling, well, that's the world we live in. And if the player's going to come to Spurs, I would like to think that if he's valued highly enough by Tottenham, and there's nobody else they appear to be in the market for, in truth, that they would go a few more, and maybe both of these strong characters can come out with their trousers up, so to speak. I think there will be ego on both sides. Each of them has committed here to some extent, particularly your guy. And I say in response, if you genuinely believe Spurs have done something wrong, I hope they haven't. But I think that it's down to the fact that they're haggling for money. I then hope that Levy will go up to whatever it is, 6, another 5, 6, whatever it is. I mean, it's remarkable the way we talk about these amounts of money. I've just said 5 or 6 million. God, what that would do for so many people for so long. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was I was
But
driving today,
it's a, it's,
and I had
it's
that exact thought. I had that exact thought. 5 million
yeah,
is 5 million more. 5 million is life changing to so many people. 1 million, so and we talk about them as if they're
yeah.
telephone numbers. It's crazy.
I know.
Um,
Yeah,
can I ask you a question? You've had time to look at him now.
yeah,
Does he fit into your setup? Do you want him?
yeah. That's a good question. Probably going back. You've asked me before, and I've said it before about what Spurs really need. And I talk about game-changing players, and I alluded to million mark as an indicator. And sometimes what happens when a player comes to a team, there can be two. Well, amongst many, there can be two reactions amongst fans. Apart from he's rubbish, I don't want him, or that it could be. I can see exactly where he's going to go in the 11, or I wonder where he's going to play in the 11.
Yeah.
And the first one is the 80 million, 100 million pound player, obviously, and the latter could be the lesser player. In terms of Gibbs White, I think there's space along the midfield for him to go, and it depends how they want to play. I think that rumours are that a couple of them are vulnerable. The current stock are vulnerable. A couple of them coming to the end of their contracts, and a couple of them maybe just didn't quite light fires as we thought they might. So I think that Spurs will see him slipping in there, and perhaps forming a partnership with, or certainly being a better fixture carrier to the front line. So yeah, I do see a place for him immediately. I would like to see him team up with Madison, see how that works. But we'd need to see that sooner rather than later, to be honest.
Oh no, I
I
think we're all agreed, Colin, that this is doing nobody any good. Because this is
Yeah,
the worst scenario for me or for us is that they sit and stonewall one another till the last few days of the
yeah,
exchange date or whatever, and the next thing then they sell him. He goes to Spurs, and we're running about trying to replace him, and we can't replace him because everybody worth their salt has gone to where they want to go
yeah.
to, where we could have
I
got somebody.
understand that.
With Europa League football, I think we can get
Yeah,
players. I think we can get a
yeah,
better player than we would have been getting. And it's now official we're going to the Europa League unless they win their
yeah.
if
Case,
it was reversed. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they're
But their
yeah.
appeal, the word wouldn't come to me. Sorry, I've been driving all day. I'm exhausted. My head's fried.
You're
But
okay.
if they win their appeal, if Crystal Palace win their appeal, that may create a different situation. But as it stands at the minute, we've been added into the Europa League. We're added into the app. Did I ever think I'd be looking at the Europa League app and looking at Nottingham Forest to see when we're playing first? I didn't. I never thought I'd see it in my life again. But anyway, we're there. We're doing that. So that does bring in a different quality of prayer. I think if he goes to
Mm.
you, I think you can. I've always sung his praises. He's an
Yeah, I know you have.
incredibly creative
I know you have.
midfielder, and Brennan Johnson and him are magic together. Brennan Johnson seemed to be able to read what he was doing over and over and over again 2 seasons ago. He was fantastic, and they work together, and they both have a bit of speed, like Brendan Johnson's speed and Morgan Gibbs White. He seems to see a pass that nobody else can see. He seems to be able to create a pass where he flick. And as I said before, he will lose the ball. He does lose the ball. But the only thing I think he lacks, and maybe he was starting to do that, is he should be getting more goals. He doesn't take the shot that you'd want him
Mm.
to. And that's the only thing he
Well,
flicks it on to other players.
yeah,
But that's one area I think he could improve on is that
fair
he should
enough.
be taking more
Fair
shots.
enough.
He should be taking more shots.
Well, the point you said there probably for both teams is timing. You've mentioned your concern for Forest. My concern for Spurs would be that in some strange way, Spurs actually use this. They let this drag on, and then Gibbs White stays with Forest. And we hold our hands up. Oh, well, we tried to get a top class player. Window's nearly closed and we get nobody, And Levy has a ready made excuse. And sorry, but there's
You're,
a cynic in me,
you're very
you know.
cynical. You're very conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to
About
Levy.
those things. I've watched it, watched it happen. These phantom bids for somebody who's not going to come. Martinez many moons ago, the Crystal Palace player in January. and so on. So other ones, you know. Yeah, I am. It comes with getting older. I can be cynical, but it comes with experience too. You know. Here we have another opportunity. We won, albeit the Europa League. I mean, when you watch what Liverpool are doing, or even Man United, City, Arsenal, you know, I'm not saying, oh, we got to spend money, you know, we got to blah, 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 blah. But, you know, a team that finishes 17th can be strengthened, you know, and that's what we need. Now, the do much scenario for both clubs, or either a club, is that this player he goes. Think about the player himself. What happens to him? It's, you know, mid-July, the season kicks off. I mean, you're already in pre-season games. You know, the player himself, I imagine, will want things resolved. If you mention his family circumstances, he will want everything settled as quickly as possible. And as yet, you're saying he's a gentleman. He hasn't pushed or kicked or, you know, he hasn't said he wants to stay and he hasn't said he wants to go. Is that accurate?
I think that's exactly it. He's
Yeah.
said that if there's a transfer available to go to Spurs, he's happy to go. And why wouldn't he? Use of more commercially, you can pay bigger wages than Forest ever can. I think we lose £1 million a week. I think we lose as a club £1 million a week. So we can't afford to pay the big wages we can. There's a few things that have gone in our favour of keeping them. And there's a couple you could look at it, and it means that he's going to go. They were playing against Monaco at Chesterfield the other day, and he hung back. He was playing 45 minutes. He played the first half. He hung back when all the other players went off, and he waited, done his cooling down exercises. Then he walked off, and as he went off, he done the heart thing to the club, to the fans, and some could see it as a farewell, a goodbye sort of thing, and they wanted to do that. It could also be deemed that that's him saying to them, "I love you. I want to stay here. I love Forest." Who knows? The second thing is he was meant. Sorry.
How do you interpret that? The heart.
I felt at the time it was a farewell. So now comes the bit that's not good for you to do. He did say at the Thursday, I think it was, that he wanted to know, having said that he would happy to go to Spurs, having said that he's happy to stay at Forest. He then said, but he wanted to know by Monday, by the time that they were travelling away. Our team went to Portugal today. So he didn't travel to Portugal. He didn't travel to Portugal today, but however, he released a press statement that it was nothing to do with football. It was a personal reason. And I believe him. The one thing that come out of this, Colin, and if he moves to Spurs, I'd look forward to hearing what you think of him. But I think he's a gentleman. I think he's an honest guy. And in this world of football with agents and stuff like, they're few and far between. And this guy seems to be the real deal. He's a nice guy. He's a family guy. He's good with the fans. He just seems to be a good guy. So I believe that he'll, as it stands at the minute, he'll travel out unless Spurs rush in tonight and with a load of money, and he doesn't travel tomorrow or the next day. But if he travels out, I would feel that it's Forest sending a message that he's staying here. And is that message that he's staying here? Is that message saying offer me more money? Probably the latter. Probably the latter.
Which I mean, the wonderful or terrible thing about this is we just don't know. But what I do know, you know, Spurs would be likely to sort of put 60 million on the table, 2D or 20 pence for younger people, but then the next 5 million they will treat it like gold bullion. You know what I mean? Where they can sort of make the deal and not make the deal at the same time. They got to understand that haggling is part of the process, and that very few people start or finish. You know, or start and finish at the same price, buyout clauses or whatever it may be. You could look at it a certain way and say, I think there's a possibility that Forest were caught out here. That nobody seemed to be looking at Morgan Gibbs White. There's maybe a whisper about City, but nobody's really doing anything. So this clause was sitting there. They didn't think about it. They didn't revise the clause in respect to his increased or enhanced performances and ability, you know, perception of him like that. And all of a sudden Spurs came in like that. And it was like you know, you've been calmly eyeing the last piece of cake on the table, and he sweeps in and lifts it, you know, or the last glass of wine.
Yeah.
I can understand why that would be very irritating. And a man like your owner, who's used to getting his own way, suddenly feels those idiots have just done the dirt on us, which they haven't. But I can accept it's very irritating, you know, because all of a sudden, well, probably when they set that clause at 60 million, 1,000, whatever it is, that seemed about right. Now we're talking about a player who's probably at least 10 million more than, you know, in terms of certainly your evaluation of him and what I've seen.
I would think anything north of 65 or 70 would probably get the deal done. And again, we're talking 10 million there in 1 month. You know, it's ridiculous.
I don't see it being 70. There's only one other possibility, and it would suit Forest more than Spurs, and that is that Forest play this game until somebody else comes in with a big fat figure, like a City, or somebody who's used to gazumping. You know, Chelsea used to do, you know, one team in terms of preparing agents and the selling club, and then the other team came in at the last minute. Chelsea have done that in us, so on and so forth, and that could happen. Me being Spurs,
I would actually rather
I've entertained that.
I'd rather you go to Spurs than go to Man City. I'd rather you go to yourselves and see him playing in a team that
so would I.
You know the way I feel.
But I think Spurs need to, you know, Spurs maybe need to put out a conciliatory gesture here and say, look, well, you know, we were acting with the best of them. You know, we saw by across. We paid it.
To give me a bit of insight into what's going on at Spurs, have you anybody else in mind? Is any rumours about who you're signing?
No, I mean, no, and that's my big worry. You know, and that's my point about, will they drag this on deliberately to the end of the window, lose them, and then go, well, we did our best, you know, we've been caught out, which no club of any ambition or stature should be. No, frankly, I haven't. I mean, the Japanese guy, there was confirmation of Tell and Danzo. The young guy, Vidovic, has come in, but they're different beasts. We're talking about a game-changing top-line players. The Crystal Palace players have been looked at and mentioned, but nothing really enough to satisfy me.
To cover that one from our point of view, we are looking at there's strong links with James McTamney, is it, from Man City? James McTamney? McAtee. Yeah. There's a link with him. There's also a link with Sancho. We can't afford to pay Sancho 350,000 a week wages, and I don't want him there anyway.
Would you want?
Don't want him there. I really do not want him
would be
there.
A good player. He would be a good player,
yes,
and it could be in all of those players that strangely City seem to let go. You know, everyone wants the next Cole Palmer kind of thing.
Yeah.
See,
Colin, if you look at
I don't want them going.
If you look at what Forest do with players, I would describe us as a transitional team. We take players in and we transition them from being this to this. And let's use Anthony Elanga. Anthony Elanga was cast aside by Man United. We bought him for 13.5 million. Sell him on for 55 million to Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
That's transition. That's movement. That's improving the player. Callum Hudson-Odoi is my big worry. Is that we got him from Chelsea for 3 million, and a bit million with extras, below 5 million.
Yeah.
And Forest haven't signed a new contract with him. I'm worried about this because we could end up being like the Brentford, who were cherry pick. People come in and cherry pick all their good players away.
Yeah.
And that's my worry, because Callum Hudson-Odoi hasn't renewed his contract. I think he's a year to run in his contract, maybe 2, but there's going to be a release clause in him. We got him for nothing. People can see how good he is, and he's transitioned into we've got his confidence back. Nuno's got him playing, and we could end up being like Brentford, where we get players stolen left, right, and centre, and we're left with nothing. You know,
could be. I mean, it's possible. Heartbreaking for all these teams. You know, we talked last week, I think, about the fact that selling has become as integral a part of the whole process as buying. Now, fans might not see it that way. You know, if Forest have transition plans, and that would be part of the transitionary model that you talk about, great. But there will come a time when the managers and team will want to say, look, we need a wee bit of stability here. I need a manager would say, I'd love the same group of players here for 3 years. How unlikely that might be, but to get it really settled to go to the next, to move up above that level, if that's what they want to do. But look, I mean, that might come at another time. For Gibbs White, I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that it's not his fault, but where he ends up could be a big factor for both teams.
For sure. But if it's going to happen, I would like it to happen soon so that we can go and do our business and get in the end somebody in that can replace him. Maybe not in the same fundamental exact way, but we need somebody to come in and do a good job.
Fill that gap. Yeah, I understand.
We have.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, look, maybe to close up, pardon me.
You're okay?
I was at the Open Championship yesterday. So it's a bit shouting Rory on a wee bit too much, Do you want him to stay?
Do you want him to stay? I've sort of become I can come to terms with things fairly quickly and find the positives in it. If you said to me 2 years ago that we'd be selling players for 50 and 60 million in the one window, I would have laughed at you. That gives us 110 million to go out and buy players, maybe 20 million, 15 million, something like that there. We could buy 4 or 5 players there and still have money in the bank. The money is probably burning a hole in their pocket at this stage, although we, as I said before, we do lose money. But if we can get somebody in, I'm not happy with either. If he stays, he's staying. No, I know. I'm not being hesitant. I'm not being. If he wants to stay, if he stays, I want him to stay because he wants to stay, and there's something in it for him. I don't want him going out there and continually looking at where Spurs are in the league, and saying that could have been there.
Looking down.
And I don't mean that in a funny way, but like. If he doesn't come to you, here's one for you, Colin. If he doesn't come to you, can you improve on 17th place from last year?
Well, let me answer first of all. If Morgan just happens to be watching us, Morgan, I do want you to come to Spurs. Okay, I want you with us, and you'll have my undying devotion on this podcast
for about 5 minutes before you start ripping into him. Same way as you did with Brennan Johnson. And the same way you do with everybody.
I will reform. If we don't have him, can we improve on 17th? Yeah. I think that tactically we can improve. There are things we can do that will improve 17th place. Said before that, the injury situation must improve, first of all. We'll have to have our first choice 5 at the back more often. We've got to work on defensive tactics, which we showed in some of the European games we can do. So I think improving on 17th is a no-brainer. I expect that. What's good enough, and it has to be up in the higher echelons. Otherwise, we might as well pack it and go home. What's the point of a ground like that, of a support base like that, the history like that, and filling about in the middle? We've got to really push and get on with it. And I'm still living in the thrill of having won the Europa League, believe it or not, and a 2-0 win against Reading. But yes, we will, without Morgan, we will improve on 17th place. But back to the players, if we really want to be up top, we need people like him. Yeah. Not only him, 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, I think you need more. I think Son is tired. Wow. I think he's not going to be playing every game for you this season. If he is, then you need to start looking at the bottom half of the team, because he's gone a bit like what do you call the player that the heart attack played but usually he went to United? Heart attack on the pitch. Number 7.
Played for Spurs.
Spurs had a heart attack on the pitch playing for Spurs. He went to United. He went away and then come back and he plays for the United now. Anyway, he's tired. It'll come to me. The name will come to me, as I say. I've been driving.
I can't remember. I remember a Bolton player having a heart attack on the pitch against Spurs. I can't remember. In any event, yeah, I mean, I think Son, yeah, it will be a legend. I think we've clearly seen the best of him, and I don't mean that in any derogatory way. I think that Son played too many summers, played too much continual football for his own good.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
being the poster boy for Korean football and so on. I understand that, but you know, his legs don't. You know, and I'm so delighted for him. But I think that you know this will be a defining point. I think we're in closing about the defining point in each of our transfer windows. What happens to Morgan, and what happens to each of the teams once the Morgan situation has been resolved, and we need it resolved. We really do.
yeah, for sure. And if it does go through this week, wherever I am, I will try and get on straight away. The name I was thinking of was Christian Eriksen. He had a heart attack while playing for you. He did,
He
didn't
did not play at Frostback.
he? Was he not playing for you? Oh, he'd left at that stage, had he? All right.
Oh, he's played for Denmark.
All right. My apologies.
And Inter Milan. Inter Milan. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay. Okay, we'll maybe call it a night at that, will we? Anything else you want to add before we go, Colin?
No.
Just I would just say to everybody, if you want to drop comments into the comment section, we'll talk about them next week. We'll try and come back maybe with another 20-minute podcast later on in the week and discuss, see what's going on, and hope everybody's a safe week. And we'll chat to you later on. Is that all right, Colin? Finish up?
Yeah. Good for me. Cheers, guys. All the best.
Talk to you later on.
Cheers.
Thanks.
See you
Stay
soon.
safe.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.